and welcome to Visions. I'm Mirella Rich. Today our guests are Yasser Solomon from the Muslim community, Helen Gardner from the Jewish community and David Schutz from the Christian community, all members of the Jewish Christian Muslim Association of Australia. Welcome to the program.
Good to be with you, thank you.
Could you tell us, how did the Jewish Christian Muslim Association get started in Australia?
Well, it started in a vacuum, really, especially when the heightened tensions of after September the 11th took place. There was a lot of talking about each other and not very much talking to each other. And I think that provided the environment, the platform for us to come together and develop a program, the conference, where we can sit down and not just talk for an hour or two, but actually for a few days.
How beautiful.
The catalyst for it was the arrival in Melbourne of Rabbi Jonathan Karen Black. He came from England and he is the rabbi of the progressive Jewish movement in Kew at the Leo Baeck Centre. And he had had experience in Germany or in Europe of a pan-European Jewish Christian Muslim conference on the same model as we now are running one here in Australia, which had been going for 35 years. And Jews, Christians and Muslims from all over Europe gathered in Germany for, I think, a whole week. They would meet, and the conference would be held in two languages, German and English.
Wow.
So, and he arrived here in Australia and said, well, what's happening here between the three faiths in Australia? And we hadn't had any formal structures set up yet, so he got a bunch of us together and said, let's do something. Let's start with a conference on the same model here in Australia.
And were all three of you there from the beginning?
I've been to all of the conferences, but I haven't been on the board, so I wasn't involved in the organisation of the first or the second conferences.
I was there, one of the founder members, very lucky to be.
Oh, beautiful. Wow.
And yes, also involved right from the beginning and attending all three conferences now and coming up for the fourth.
Okay. So you would have seen it grow and progress from the very beginning.
It is very heartening to see it become so meaningful to many people's lives and bringing so many different people who would never otherwise would have met or talked to each other.
Oh, isn't it beautiful, spreading this harmony? Because people could be thinking about themselves and their own lives if they wanted to, but you're doing the opposite. You're trying to bring people together.
Exactly. I mean, it's important for people not to assume what other people are all about, but actually to find out, and it helps you understand your own position as well when you understand other people you're living with.
Yeah, beautiful. And what's the aim of the organisation?
Well, I think it has many aims. One of the important ones is to provide that respectful environment where people can come together in an organised way, not have to worry about the finer details of having to cook and distractions of the coming together, but just to sit down and have quality, meaningful time together, and then go back and take that back to their families, to the wider community, and I think it's achieved that, and that's why it's continuing to grow.
So that there isn't any confusion, I should make it clear that while the JCMA began with the aim of running an annual 4-day, rather than a week, in the end conference for Jews, Christians and Muslims, it soon became clear there were other projects that we could be involved in, other things we could do as communities together, and so we formed the JCMA board to oversee various planning committees, of which the conference planning committee is just one.
Beautiful. So it's expanded now.
Yes, there are many other things we do.
Well, some of the things that we do, we now have a schools project running, both for secondary and primary school students. For the secondary, they actually involve a Jew, a Christian and a Muslim going out to schools and talking about their faith, and to act as a role model in the sense that Jews, Christians and Muslims can cooperate and can get on together in these kinds of ways. The secondary component is focused more on the nature of the religion, so there's more sort of teaching about each of the different faiths, whereas the primary school is focused more on the values of the different faiths, or the fact that the values are in fact very similar for each of the different faiths. The primary one is called Acts of Goodness and Kindness, and it originated in New South Wales. There's 25,000 students in Australia who are taking part in this program, and the students, the primary school students, are asked to go home and keep a log of 2 acts of kindness that they do every day, contributing to 1 million acts of kindness around the world, I think.
That is beautiful.
The secondary school project has been through about 2,000 students so far in about 16 schools and continues to expand. We are looking actually for people to take part in those programs, to actually be people who are willing to go out and talk to school students about their faith. So if anybody's interested in taking part in the project in that particular manner, they can let JCMA know at the phone number that we will give later. So that was one of the things that we've done. Another thing that we did after the first 3 conferences, it came up that perhaps we should have a women's conference, because often it's the men who can go to the conference and the women who stay at home looking after the children.
Yeah.
And so we decided to run a trial of a women's conference. It was only 2 days. It was held in February of this year, and it was a resounding success. We had 40 women who came, and one of the outcomes of that was that they've been meeting every 6 weeks since then. And they get about 20 people to a meeting, and that's been absolutely fantastic, and they're planning another one for January next year. And another thing that we've done is we have prepared a booklet which sets out the 3 faiths across a page, so that you can see what each of the faiths believes about each topic. And that is beginning to be used as a training program for hospitals, for the police, for fire brigade, to encourage sensitivity to other religions and to understand what are the essential points and the essential differences between the 3 faiths. So that's another thing that we've done.
Beautiful. We're about to go to a break now. You're watching Visions. Stay with us. We'll be back with more very shortly.